Call the skeleton Johnny.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Really, subhanAllah, apologize for the delay. We're 5 minutes late and we have 2 dislikes already.
Who disliked this video?
Okay, alhamdulillah, guys, we've got a really good session for you guys today, inshallah. So those of you who haven't been on this live before, this is Mind Asylum, which means a lot of you guys can comment.
That's interact. A boring intro. Forget that. We're here to help out. Why is your internet so rubbish?
It's not rubbish, it's fine.
Why is it slowing down? Talking. Okay. We're here to help out those people like you, people who want a place that they can go to, an asylum, a friendly place where people give you injections and they give you high protein food. Just kidding. Basically, Mind Asylum is a place where your mind can actually have an asylum. It can actually rest. It can actually find a place with like-minded people. It can talk. Previously on my video, just 2 weeks ago, I spoke about loneliness, and loneliness is something that I actually want to address today because it is a huge topic, and I've been having some discussions recently about it. Isa, is something flicking about
No, it's fine. I just seen the Wi-Fi. There's a problem, but it's fine now.
Okay.
Can everyone see us now?
Can you guys see us? No video, he said.
Okay.
Let me check the YouTube.
1 second. Let me just turn off our cam. Turn it on. Turn it on. All right. Should we leave?
Are you connected to your internet?
Should we remove and go back? Yeah, it's fine now. Should I remove and go back? Is it working now? Yeah, it's working now, obviously. Yeah. Okay, brilliant.
Still bad. Still bad. Can't see.
Is it working? Okay, well, it's not working, so let me just reconnect to another Wi-Fi. Hold on.
Try it again.
It should be working now properly. There should be no problems. Okay, alhamdulillah, they can see now. All right, brilliant. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I've connected now.
All right.
Go on, tell us about loneliness.
So what we're going to be talking about today is loneliness. Now, Isa, I put out a video on my channel maybe a couple of weeks ago, right? And I shared something, and I'm not sure if how much experience you have had experience, but how much experience you've had of this recently, right? I'm sure you've had the experience, but it's about recently. So what I said is that when I have to travel and I have to stay in a place before Corona, sometimes you have to go to a place because you have a lecture, you have a talk, or you have this type of thing, and you're on your own. Sometimes you're with a group of brothers, but even then you're in the hotel room and you're on your own and stuff like this, right? So you're on your own for a good period of time. So I'll give you an example of a particular time which was kind of lonely. Is when I was in Pakistan last year, 1 week roughly of the month.
The whole thing is frozen. Never happened before. It's happening now. Let me try this.
What's the name of that one?
Yeah, I know. That's what I connected to. Well, I'll just go back. Okay, just check now. It should work now. They said only the sound is working. They said the sound is perfect, so they can still hear us. Is it working now, guys? If it's working,
video now working.
Just press 1 if it was working. Okay, they said it's working now.
It's frozen again. Because you can see it's flicking on our end of things as well.
Isa Khan channel works better, I guess. It's your channel, man. I'm gonna remove your channel from the stream.
Don't you?
Oh, they're all saying 2. That means it's not working.
Oh my God! How many 2s are there? You know, they can't see this screen.
I think we'll remove ourselves from the stream and go back.
Yeah, go on then.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. Is it working now? If it's working, please give us a 1. Oh, it's 2.
Yeah, I'm watching it live here. So.
Oh, maybe that's why it's slowing down. Oh, they're saying 1. They're saying it's working. Oh, it's working. Look at all the ones.
No, there's two.
No, but there's ones. Look.
Yeah.
So I think it's working for some people. It's not working for others. Look, I'll just do one.
Someone
last.
said I'll give you a free trim. I don't want it.
No, I'll try one last thing. I'm going to connect to my phone and I'm going to see if the 4G is good enough.
I very much doubt.
I'll try this. Leave the studio. To the stream. All right. Let us know if it's working now. If this is better. I'm trying my phone. 4G. Let's see if 4G beats Wi-Fi. All right. Is it working? We've got a few ones now. Is it working? Oh, we're getting two. Okay, so we just need to carry on because a lot of people can hear the audio. I'm going to put it back on Wi-Fi.
Yeah, put it back on Wi-Fi and let's carry on. I mean, they don't need to. I mean, to be honest, they don't need to see our faces.
Okay, that's fine. Let me go back to this. Stream. Okay. All right. Bismillah. All right. Let's go. Yeah. Talk about loneliness. Yeah.
Okay. So when I was in Karachi, I used to spend roughly a week on my own, right? Because I used to be in the hotel room, had a few talks, then I'd go back to the hotel room. And when I used to stay in the hotel room, then obviously I had to go out to eat. So I used to go get some Karachi biryani and just some other fish and, Karachi stuff. I'm a big foodie like Isa, except I get fat and Isa doesn't. That's the difference. He's very athletic.
No,
yeah. But anyway, so what happened, Isa, yeah, is I'm a very high social. I have a very high pro-sociality, yeah. So I talk to a lot of people. I'm always talking. I just don't shut up. And to go from that environment to go to a place where you're giving a lecture in front of people, and you'll have a few conversations there. That's 1 hour in the day. Then you got another lecture after, say, 2 days, and you're just there in the hotel, yeah. And you walk out on the streets. You have nobody to talk to. I'm generally a person, I don't like talking on the phone. I don't like ringing people and talking on the phone. So you're walking around, nobody recognizes you, nobody knows who you are, and you're just continuously in a good 48 hours of no real sociality. That time, I felt really weird. And I was like, why do I feel so weird? Oh, because I haven't spoken to anybody. Okay. And I just kept thinking and thinking and thinking, this is a really difficult feeling. And when I used to go back home after a week, where obviously my family is, then I was like talking to my wife and kids and cousins and friends, and it's all normal. Then it really hit me. That week, which was really tough because there's nobody there, and every month I had to do that. Some people live their lives like that. My auntie, she's a school teacher, and she was saying that in their school they had this sort of announcement that to the kids that if you see any old people in the street, in the supermarket, just give them a hello or hi, because you could be the only person they talk to. Some people, they have no family, they have no friends, they're like stuck in this world where they say they may have left university and then their friends weren't practicing, so they didn't want to be in contact with them. Over time, they lost contact with people and they just become on their own. Now that feeling, number one, we want you to talk about it, discuss it. Two, how does Islam solve it from two perspectives? One is the spiritual perspective, one is the social perspective. The spiritual perspective obviously being that if you have Allah, you're never alone. And truly in the remembrance of Allah, do hearts find peace. But at the same time, Islam creates a structure where people start to bond and talk and they care about each other and they discuss things more often, right? So what I wanted to do today was, Isa, talk about this in a lot more detail, because I think this is one of those topics that's really under discussed, and it's a huge health issue. Like in the NHS and all these types of things, they actually have a discussion about how loneliness is something which it can be an indicator of early death.
I'm trying to think if I was ever lonely. You know, I think I do notice one thing when I go out sometimes, like in a different country, and you actually have no one with you. It's much more difficult to be walking around on your own than with your friends. Like when you're with your friends, your whole character, your laughing, everything changes, right? When you're on your own, you feel like an imposter always.
Imposter.
Always.
Among us.
Always. And subhanAllah, this is very interesting though, that it goes back to the point where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that stick together and hold on to the rope of Allah together, and you should always be a jama'ah.
Yeah. Brother Muhammad Habib, this is a brother, Palestinian brother from Canada.
Yeah.
I'm just going to post the link. So if I would like you to join, because I want to have a bit of a chat with you about this. He's a very insightful brother, and you know, I've been pushing him, not pushing him, just speaking to him, and I'd like to get him to do more, sort of, inshallah, get more involved in stuff, because I'm really interested in finding out about this particular thing amongst younger people in their 20s and their late teens and whatnot, because this is something which really affects people.
Reading books does not make a person lonely. Lonely is more connected to the people you're around, and we're talking about physical loneliness, like you know, your friends and family and people around you, or staying in a different country.
Okay, so he's saying, let me just switch my computer on, inshallah.
Should we
Okay,
go to
no.
the phone? Will it be faster on the phone?
You know what would be really good? The hallway.
Is it?
And
No, it's not Wi-Fi. I think it's the laptop.
Do you think it's a laptop?
Yeah, I think, let me try and go and stream it. And you keep speaking. Let me try and get streaming on here, and I'm gonna reset my laptop.
Yeah, it could be your laptop. If you want, we can use my laptop.
It's okay. I'll go on the link basically from you. Yeah, go and keep speaking. There's people. What's that comment?
Okay. That's a good thought right there. Okay, is this for you, Isa? When are you planning on publishing the app?
Yeah, soon, inshallah. Next week there was a few hiccups.
I just subscribed because I saw your comment on a channel. That's good. Is that subscribe to Isa? Yeah.
No, it's you.
Well, where am I commenting? All right, are you connected?
No, almost. Just 1 second. You'll see it come up there, and then we go into this. See you come up there, and then you go into it's working.
Your voice is so basically, I think
we're almost done. Just wait.
Assalamu alaikum.
So,
what's better? What are you connected to?
This one, remove them from the scene.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, Muhammad Habib. How are you doing?
How are you doing? Yeah, this is a pleasure.
Can you, like...
But I can't hear you.
Now it's clear, isn't it? Now the thing's clear.
It's fine.
Okay. Can you actually hear us and see us clearly?
Oh, sorry.
Yep, we're good. I can hear.
Hold it. It's all clear. Just speak on this.
Okay,
we
just fix this. Okay, no problem.
I can hear him. How are you doing?
MashaAllah, good to finally see you on camera.
You too. This is a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So thank you for supporting the channel and always commenting and liking and tweeting and all that type of stuff. My first question to you is, have you subscribed to Isa's channel?
Oh, tough question. Inshallah, and you can hold me accountable to this afterwards. We'll get that done right after this, inshallah.
Okay. So the thing I wanted to ask you is, you know, Isa, his particular channel, what we want to do with it is all of the different places that Isa's been traveling when he's part of IRA, like the Philippines, Bolivia, Peru, and God knows where, right? We want all of those stories and experiences to be able to be shared with the public, and for there to be like a library, a depository, where these experiences, these dawah scenarios, and all of that rich information in this guy's head is actually on YouTube. And in fact, Isa was very reluctant to actually do this, but I've been pushing him. So I want to ask you, Muhammad Habib, yeah, as somebody who, mashallah, is very, very much in tune with all of the du'at that are there online, and you're aware of all of them and you interact with everybody online. Do you think there's a need for this particular thing I'm trying to get Isa to do?
My honest thoughts on this is yes, I do. Because having conversations with people, like normal conversations and interactions, I can tell that there's something inspiring about when you share stories that you had when giving dawah to another people and giving those dawah stories.
Yeah.
I really feel like that's more inspiring, or more that people connect to it more than like the intellectual stuff that we like. There's a place for everything, but they can connect to it more, inshallah, when you can share those personal stories. Because really and truly, the majority of people, they don't really care about all the stuff that, like the books and all the intellectual discussions and all that stuff. They don't care about that. They want to feel something, that they want to feel attached to something. And through the dawah stories that Brother Isa, mashallah, shares his experiences, we're traveling all over the world, and the brothers Ayera as well, I think it really can connect with people in a very huge manner. Because, for example, when I'm talking to individuals here on the street, they connect the most when I give them stories about people. Like if I talk to a Christian, they connect most when I give them a story of someone that used to be a Christian and then converted to Islam because of certain circumstances, etc. They don't want to hear like about some next philosophical issue that they never heard about. So yes, I do think there's a need for this. I really do.
So you're telling me those arguments, they don't get people to take the shahada?
They do. I can't say they don't. But the biggest impact that I've seen with like the general public and the laymen are these personal stories that they interact with. And there's actually a reason why. I found that like convert stories on YouTube, they literally have the most views. I was thinking about this.
Yes.
Why is it that convert stories on YouTube have the most views out of like the debates, out of all these lectures on YouTube? Why is it that the convert stories have these the most? And then I'm thinking about it, I'm like, it's because people can really relate to them. There's a personal experience where people can see their stories with it. And that's another reason why in the Quran is so powerful. Because inside of it, you can see your story in there. You can see your story in the Quran. And you can see your personal experiences in the Quran, which is why that's why the Quran is the best way to give da'wah, quite frankly, sometimes. There's a place for everything.
Yeah, 100%. You know, I'll tell you something interesting though. Like a lot of these places that I've been, for example, like I was inside in a rainforest in Peru, right? These are people they live in wooden houses on stilts, right? And the brothers were telling me, they're like, yeah, the Tablighi Jamaat has come here before, by the way, yeah? And I was thinking, oh my God, that is crazy. But what I was thinking was like, the difference is that they didn't document these things, right? Like, subhanAllah, you know, like if you go into a bookstore sometimes, you know, you can find like this journal and you blow off the dust and you open it and there's a traveler who went. Unfortunately, with Muslims, it's very rare, especially nowadays, yeah, to go and document these things. So I was thinking that it would be amazing, at least if there was a journal. So like 50 years, 100 years after we're gone, at least people will know, okay, what's Samoa like? What's Papua New Guinea like? What do they get offended by? What do they like? What are their customs? What's halal?
Bro, you know something? I was looking at the post that Ustad Adnan Rashid puts on Instagram.
Yeah.
And the historical things that he posts, and like the documentation of like the Islamic coins that he posts, and like the manuscripts that he posts, those get a lot of attention by Muslims, and they get inspired by that stuff when they see historical documents of the Muslims were in this land, etc., etc. The Muslims, they had this coin, etc., etc. They start showing stories from old documents. The Muslims love that, and it's inspiring.
Well, 100%, 100%.
And I would agree with Akhi Subboor here. This is a major project.
Yeah.
This is a major project, and I really encourage it too. This is what the people need. This is what the people want, Akhi.
You've given the stamp of approval.
Can you, Isa, where's the link?
We're just trying to basically get back on the laptop. The link is, hold on, it's in the comments on your YouTube channel. Yeah, just scroll up.
No, it doesn't let me scroll beyond that.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
So, Muhammad Habib, is he still there?
Oh, yeah, we're there.
Yeah. So, Muhammad Habib, look, So in terms of your demographic, because I'm always trying to understand trends and stuff, like what age range are you? Are you at university? Tell us a little bit about yourself, because I have a series of questions I want to ask you about the topic today about loneliness.
Okay, so basically, I'm 18. I just turned 18, about like 10 days ago, December 5th. First year kinesiology student, and first year kinesiology student.
Okay, just say that again, because I lost you for a few seconds.
So I just turned 18, alhamdulillah, 10 days ago, and this is my first year in university as a kinesiology student.
MashaAllah, brilliant, brilliant. So I want to, before we get into the topic of even loneliness, actually, you, MashaAllah, you've been pretty much commenting on my videos, Hijab's videos, Ali Dawa's videos, and you watch all of the Dawa guys and stuff. So in terms of your generation, why is this stuff so important? Why is it that we're getting like, you know, younger people following us rather than people our age, like in their 30s and stuff? Why is it that it's your range which is the bulk of the audience at the moment?
Okay, so basically, when talking to like my friends and like people at school, I remember in high school and in university nowadays, this is an age where around you all you see is literally people that are entrenched in like this a liberal thought of I'll do whatever I do as long as I don't harm others, and then you see stuff like partying widespread, all the other stuff that we don't want to get into here right now, but what we know is like widespread in our times. And then there comes a time at this age when you're 17, 16, 18, where you start thinking about it. If subhanallah, Allah grants you the gift to start thinking about your purpose of life at this young age, then that's a gift from Allah, and none of us can deny. Because some people they never, not at this age. Some people they get this gift maybe when they're like 70, when they start approaching death, they start having these reflective thoughts. I saw a documentary yesterday too of some philosopher, 80 years old, and he was literally saying, I spent all this time thinking about some rudimentary thoughts, writing books about some rudimentary topics that I'm never going to use in my life. Quite frankly, pragmatically, I'm never going to use in my life. But now, all I'm thinking about, everything that my mind is consumed, is the topic of death. Is that tomorrow I'm losing my strength. I'm waking up, I don't have the same strength I had yesterday. And I might pass away any moment. And now this is everything that's consuming my mind now. And and he was like, I authored about 30 to 40 books in my 40-year span as a professor of philosophy. And look, and he was pointing to his bookshelf. He was like, look, I've never used these anymore. I haven't used any. Like, I've used some, but like these to me mean nothing now. I just want to know. I'm afraid of what's to come. I just want to know, is there something after? What's going to happen to me? All these big questions. So this is why it's a gift from Allah if individuals start thinking about these questions from a young age. Because you don't want to waste 60 years, 50 years, and then afterwards start thinking about these questions, and then time's gone. And then you have to make some crazy lifestyle changes. So it's a big gift from Allah that you start thinking about these questions. So some people in my age group who are in a Muslim background, or people that are like innately inquisitive and like to ask questions, they start asking, okay, for the first week, for the first 2 weeks, for the first year, for the first 2 years, for the first 4 years of my high school career, what have I done productive? I've literally spent it waking up, partying, not doing any work, barely passing my grades. So what is this all about? Why am I doing this? What's the point of this? And then they start asking those questions of who am I? What am I? The thoughtful questions that all of us ask. And then they come across your content, someone like your content, someone like Brother Hijab's content, someone's like Ali Dawa's contents, with all the social experiments that they do, stories like inshallah with Brother Isa Khan when he opens his channel, they can start coming across those content, and then they start relating to it. They start thinking, they start weighing things. Is this what I want to be doing? Wasting my life, partying, wasting my time, or should I be doing this inspiring work that others like you and others have been doing? And then they start learning, they're getting attached, and then they start making dua, and by Allah's will, they're guided. They're guided to hidayah, inshallah.
Brilliant. And you know, Jazakallah khair for giving that explanation about it's a blessing from Allah to come to the deen early, right? Because I want Isa to share some of his thoughts on this, because I started practicing Islam much later, right? But from what I remember, Isa pretty much grew up in the IR office. I mean, I think when he came here, when he was still like barely a teenager, or just 21 or something, right? So Isa, can you relate to what Muhammad Habib is saying here about practicing young and the challenges you have, and then looking up on YouTube and seeing Islam insulted, and how that makes you feel?
Yeah, what were you doing before you were practicing? Jazakallah khair for that. I think, yeah, obviously, alhamdulillah, I was blessed to be in that environment where I kind of was practicing, but everybody, even in those scenarios, they have their ups and downs. And we know like how amazing the reward is for somebody who's basically very practicing throughout their youth, basically, right? You're like under the shade of Allah, right? And the other people are like serious people who are under that shade on the Day of Judgment. So for those of people watching who are in their youth, please stay strong, inshallah. We'll accept it from you. But I think that it definitely has a much bigger impact, because when you're young, like Muhammad is saying, that these questions, a lot of the times people actually don't think of these questions because they're too busy, chasing girls and doing all of this and playing PlayStation and doing all of this nonsense, right? So later on, when these things start to come to them, then they have a heart attack or they don't understand, right? But if somebody spoke to them about Arsenal or Manchester United or this football club, they'll be like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. They've got the new coach, their formation is correct, that's why they're losing, right? But when it comes to your deen, what is Sam Harris say that? How do I respond, brother? Yeah, even the comments say that keep saying, Subboor, debate him, he said this, right? Guys, calm down, yeah? You have to basically also study your deen. You have to go to the people who know. And like Brother Muhammad said, it's true. Fix all these things now and learn it and, understand it. And then also it's better for people. I think now there is one thing that's happening, which wasn't happening like 10 years ago. I don't know if you agree, Subboor. But now, even, and this helps some Muslims as well, is that even the atheist and the non-Muslim community, they're leaning more towards, this is not everything. Science is not the only truth. There is spirituality. There is the universe. There is other things, right? Yeah. So basically, that does help as well. But it's important that Muslims educate themselves. They learn, and like, mashallah, I remember when I used to be on YouTube, just obviously watching videos and stuff, like in 2010, 2009, right? And there would be all these anti-Islam and haters and all of these. This is when Thunderfoot was like the only one, and he was big, he was massive, yeah. And it was crazy, basically. And then there was no one, and I used to make like some of these little videos. I never posted them, right? But now, like, there's so many brothers and there's so many other people who are on and YouTubers, which is amazing, especially like Hijab and these guys. Like, so many people look up to them. Some people who have doubts and unanswered questions, they don't even care anymore. They're like, I know Hijab will be able to answer it, so I don't give a damn. Yeah, I don't need the answer for that. Yeah, which is amazing. Which is kind of what people do with the atheist professors. Yeah. They're like, oh, I won't accept Islam. They don't have any arguments, but they say, oh, because he or she said so. So definitely, learn these things and get equip yourself with all this information and stuff now. So even when people approach you, especially in unis and these kind of environments, you'll get, and especially with the internet, someone will find some crazy argument, right, that you won't have heard before, and then you don't know what to do. But if you have some of these principles in place, they definitely help a lot. But after all of that, at the end of the day, just like Muhammad said, it's the simplest stories and it's the simplest arguments that work on people. You just tell them, right?
And on this point of simplicity, I remember, I think it was 2014 when we had this channel called LDM and we were doing that stuff. Isa was with us in LDM, but he released a video on this channel which was called Think Islam at the time, and it was the simplest argument in the world. Like, it wasn't the cosmological argument, the design argument, contingency argument, moral argument. It was simply a Lego video, and it was just like shaking a bag, can you get a helicopter out of it? I cannot tell you guys how angry atheists were. They're going mad. And I used to think to myself, how is it a 45-second video can make people go on rage for hours and just go nuts? Not hours, but you get my point, right? And what is it? Because they will lose when it comes to simplicity. They will lose when it comes to the basic stuff. They will win when it comes to, technicalities and nuances and places they can hide. And it looks like they have something to say. When it comes to basic things, and what does Allah do? Allah asks basic questions. What's going to happen after you die? Don't you think about death? Are there locks on their hearts? Do they not reflect upon the Quran? Simple, simple, simple things. And they simply don't have answers to these things. So the other thing I wanted to ask you about, Muhammad, is, the whole concept of loneliness, and that before we get down to the spiritual remedy of loneliness, do you believe in the world of social media and in the world of especially the younger generation who grew up on social media, do you think is creating this type of very fake relationships and this very distant that people have with each other, this distance they have with each other, and you don't really have meaningful friends, and people suffer from a lot of social anxiety, they've lost social skills, and younger people more and more and more are just starting to go into this sort of second world rather than interact with real world with real people.
Yes, so I agree. So I think I think I forgot the study what it was called, but I think it was like I forgot who published it too, but I think it was like around like 40 or 35% of social media users that are like that they spend about like 4 hours a day or more on. I think they have like some type of social anxiety when they're outside in the real world. And this is something where I wasn't surprised when I read this, because quite frankly, on social media, as you said, it's like a fake relationship, not a fake relationship, but you're a distant relationship with other people. You kind of just talk to people behind the screen, where you're not practicing your communication skills, and you're not going outside in the real world. But then when you are when you do go outside in the workplace, at school, or in other places in a social gathering, that's when you feel that social anxiety starts to kick in, and you're not ready for that situation. So then you stay back. You stay back when you see a gathering. You stay back, and then you don't take advantage of that specific situation. And then afterwards, you go home thinking in your head like, why didn't I make friends?
Yeah.
Don't I have someone? Why don't I have someone to talk to when I open my phone? Why don't I have a proper friend to talk to? And then the key is why this didn't happen is because you weren't ready for that specific situation that you were thrown into. It's because of lack of communication skills, and because yeah, it's just plainly a lack of communication skills, because we're so used to comfortable lives sitting behind screens, typing up whatever you see, you just like type up in a couple of tweets, 140 characters, and you're not engaging your thinking process, how to communicate yourself, how to carry yourself. And it gets tough when you're thrown into situations where you're forced to do that in front of like a class presentation, in a uni environment, or in a workplace. It gets tough. And then people start asking themselves, why am I lonely? Why don't I have friends? It's because you haven't been trained for that. Not you haven't been trained for it, but you haven't been training yourself for such a situation, to engage and to open yourself to other people.
Yeah, and I also you're definitely right about this, and I'm also aware of where young people who are kind of lonely, they're around other people who are lonely, but no one initiates the chat, no one initiates friendship. They think, why doesn't someone call me, or why doesn't I go to the local mosque, and I don't like, why doesn't someone come and become my friend? But you have to make the first step, right? The other thing which is quite problematic is finding people on the same level. So it's better to be lonely than to have a bunch of friends which are going to drag you down. And I think the thing about people who are not practicing, they're a lot more liberal and a lot more, easygoing, and people intermingle, and you have friends like that. But then you get sometimes practicing people, then it's kind of like, okay, how do I talk to this person? This person look very serious, and you get these types of things. I was actually thinking of an idea. Let me know what you think about this here. That using gaming, we can not only give dawah to non-practicing Muslims, we can give dawah to non-Muslims, and we can allow practicing Muslims to actually become friends with each other. So it's like a juggernaut effect. You get the whole circle. You get non-practicing Muslims coupled with practicing Muslims, coupled with giving dawah to non-Muslims, using something which, look, let's be honest, gaming's not going anywhere. I'm not saying it's halal and let's all go start playing it all the time. There is a halal part of it, and like Sheikh Yusha Evans has his Muslim Gamers League, which I recommend you all join. You have that safe environment. I mean, he's always playing this game amongst us, and he's putting up the code, and he's playing it with his brother called Ben Ikra, and they're having all this fun. I mean, we should use these things. I mean, the old time 50 years ago, where you could get a bunch of youngsters to sit in the masjid and you're giving them a reminder. That doesn't work. These people, they're busy. They're out there. They have so many.
Telling people to stop. going to the masjid and start playing Among Us.
No, not quite. Well, what I'm saying is that
Use these things.
use these things. Use these things. We can't set up a talk in a mosque and expect youngsters to turn up. They're not going to turn up. They barely turn up for Jummah. And if they do turn up for Jummah, they're out of the mosque before the imam is, before the imam gets up from doing his prayers. So you have to use these things. We can't be old-fashioned. We have to go where the youngsters are.
It was like the internet when it was first introduced. I remember a lot of people were saying from like the older generations, "Oh, this is all kufr. This is gonna lead to bad stuff. Our youth are gonna get lost." I'm like, well, there's nothing around it. You can't get around this. You're gonna be exposed to this in school. This is gonna be the future thing in the world, and everyone's. It's just gonna be there. So you either use it for good or use it for bad. And I think this was a saying where our elders always used to tell me, for everything, there's two ways. You can either use it for good or use it for bad. And this is the same thing with gaming. It's not going to go anywhere. Like you said, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere. No one can dream of it going anywhere. It's entrenched in our society. Everyone's immersed in it. Whether here, we're in the Western world or in the Eastern world, everyone does it. When I was talking to my family yesterday, my little cousins, they're like 5, 6 in Palestine. What are you doing? We're playing Among Us. I'm like, okay. Okay, it's here. It reached there. So what are we gonna do? But like you said, we can use everything for good or for bad. And I think you mentioned Ustad Yucha Evans, his new gaming platform that he has. And he has a brilliant setup, and he's getting in Muslim gamers from there, and he's creating a cool online community where people can interact, and it can help with this topic of loneliness. People can interact, use whatever knowledge they have, spread it to people when they're playing whatever games I'm not a big gamer, but whatever games they play, and they can use that knowledge to spread it. Because quite frankly, it's here, and let's use the knowledge that we have and spread it for good. Why not? Let's stay up in our times. Let's stay up to date.
you got to do it. I mean, if we look at the Christian communities, right? The Christian communities, they go to the other extreme, to the point that they have these DJ disco, I don't know what it's called, pastors, and they literally go out and they just go to these like areas where these clubs are, and they're intermingling with all these people, trying to give them the message of Christ, and so and go inside the club, and God knows what sort of plans they have. We're just doing something very simple. You have something which is so incredibly massive amongst a segment of the population, and we're not talking about people over the age of 40, we're talking about younger people. And like this live stream right now, roughly about 100 people are watching this. If you go to Twitch and you click on one of these games, it's being watched by 20,000 people at the same time, like a huge amount of people. Now, when you look at the opening of Apple, which Isa loves, I love as well, right? Apple products and these types of things. They just need to stop using the Uyghurs. But
how do you do? Are you sure?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are they? Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. They in fact tried to block the legislation in America, which was there to stipulate that you can't use slave labor within the supply chain. They actually tried to do
verified,
I saw that yesterday.
Also one of these major things.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's why they got a lot of slack online recently. But anyway, when you have a new Apple product which is launched, you see like those big numbers, right? You see maybe what is it? He said 20,000 people watching, 100,000. Yeah.
No, million, man.
Million, yeah. That is one off. It's not continuous. But if you look at these Twitch gaming all the time, 24/7, click on one of the videos, 20,000 people watching, 10,000 people watching, comments, questions, likes, people are engrossed in it. People live on it, to the point that I'm sure you've heard of Truzy, you've heard of Ninja, you've heard of these PewDiePie and all these people literally live on the internet, and youngsters almost worship them. Yeah. So we have to use these types of things to try and attract the youth.
Some of these people, like I remember, I think you mentioned PewDiePie. I think he had like 60 million subscribers on YouTube just off of playing rudimentary games, and he's not even like a big gamer from what I've heard. He's not even a top level gamer, but just the way that he carries himself, the way he interacts with other individuals, and the way that he just puts people in this zone where you can interact with them and all that. I think that's what sells at the end of the day.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Bro, people keep asking where you're from.
Okay, so my parents, my background is Palestinian, but I was born in Canada. Yeah.
MashaAllah. So where are you now? In Toronto?
Right now I'm in Toronto, yes.
Okay, nice, MashaAllah. All right, what else do we have? What kind of food do you have? Do you have Palestinian cuisine?
Today we're making a dish called maqloube. My favorite dish.
What is it?
We gotta have the Palestinian food every day. we can't let go of that tradition.
What is it? Describe it to us.
So basically, it's called maqloube. So maqloube means upside down in English. Yeah, I think you might have seen it. Yeah, no, yeah, and then you sprinkle on. So basically, you have so you basically have rice and then you put all the spices. I don't know what my mom puts in there, but it tastes good. And then you have like you have rice over top of it, chicken, then cauliflower, potato, and then when you grab the pot and then you flip it in the bowl, and then you sprinkle over it some almonds, some whatever you want.
Online, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's some good stuff, man. So
Yeah.
you know, like the Palestinian community in Canada, and obviously the other Palestinians that you know. Do you find? I mean, this is something that we definitely find within the Pakistani community, and I'm sure others would agree with their countries. But do you find that when Muslims from those countries come over to the Western world, especially the second and third and fourth and fifth generations, that they're far more practicing than their relatives back in the Muslim countries, and they're far more practicing than the people who initially came to the country?
I do, and I was thinking about this a couple of days ago, and the reason being is when you come in here, it's kind of like a culture shock. Because over there, you know, there's certain stuff where khalas, it's haram to go near. It's like you can't even go near that. You can't even think about it. You can't even talk about this in a gathering. And then when you come here and you see it so widespread, it's like, subhanallah, where did I come to? I better go into my house, close the door, just get close to Allah, because that's the only thing that's gonna protect me. And I remember that this thought process goes in so many of people that are coming, even youth that come from like places like Pakistan. I've seen as well, because I have Pakistani friends, from Palestine, from Syria as well, because in Canada there's a lot of Syrian immigrants that come. Every single time I meet one of these individuals at school or in the masjid or whatever, and I start engaging with them, the first thing is, we didn't expect this here. We didn't expect, in our world, we're painted this picture that this is some enlightened place where everyone's treated equally, where there's freedom, where there's absolute freedom of expression and freedom of speech and freedom of religion and all this stuff, and where everyone's given an equal opportunity. And then when we come here, and then they also say, oh, we also thought that these people were very moral individuals, high standard moral individuals. And then when we come here, we were shocked. We're like, where did we come here? They turn left, they're like, astaghfirullah. They turn right, astaghfirullah. I better just stay in my zone, get close to Allah. And I've seen this widespread. And then that's a good thing. That's a good thing, where you start thinking about this stuff and you're thinking that, okay, the only thing that's going to get me out of the situation, that's going to keep me away from the haram, is by getting closer to Allah. And then that thought process alone gets you started reading Quran more, getting closer to Allah, going online, watching videos that will gain you in knowledge, and then you can go out there and you can start propagating Islam as well. And that's how it starts.
Yeah. That's definitely the experience I've had with the Pakistani community here as well. And there's another aspect to it, which is something I was thinking about, and this is of course linked to loneliness, and it's linked to youth, and it's linked to everything we're talking about. And it's a lecture I heard yesterday, which by Numan Ali Khan, which was really powerful. Yeah. So Ibrahim alayhi salam was lonely. He was young. So it was everything that we're talking about now, young and then the loneliness, right? But Allah gave him the strength to actually stand up to his entire society. And then Allah actually named him, for us, a father. Now, no other prophet is called a father. And he will be a ummah by himself on the day of judgment. Now, one of the things which is amazing about him is that, you know, when you look at his life, he literally had no supporters. But in his youth, Allah guided him. And then when we go to the story of the people of the cave, again, they were youth who, and if you look at the verse of the Quran, it's beautiful the way the Imam Ali Khan explains it. They don't just quietly whisper, we believe in Allah. They stand up, they proclaim that they believe in Allah. And again, when you go to the children of Bani Israel, and you actually see that they are letting down Musa alayhi salam, and they are not willing to obey the commandments of Allah. Two youth stand up amongst Bani Israel and said, we will be with you, Moses. We will go and fight with you. So again, we see this, and we see this in Islamic history with Muhammad al-Fatih, who conquered Constantinople in 21 years old or whatever, or the two 15-year-olds who actually attacked Abu Jahl, the Fir'aun of this ummah. So the secret power of Islam is the youth of Islam. And the youth of Islam, they sometimes have to go through this stage where their only friend is Allah. And that loneliness, the solution to it is truly understanding that Allah is the friend of the believers. Allah is the protector of the believers. And I believe that, look, it's like with anything. There is no sword that's made except that it goes through fire. Yeah. So there is no youth that Allah uses for his deen except that it has to go through fire in this world. So I mean, I don't, and again, I'm be very careful with my words, and maybe Isa's going to refute me, yeah? But if you bring up a child in the madrasa who grows up in Al-Azhar, grows up in Medina, grows up in, you know, Darloom, and just grows up in this very sensitive environment, all Islamic environment, all very clean and nice, I personally believe that that person will not change the world. It's sometimes the people who've had the worst past. They've actually grown up in a society of liberalism where they've been bombarded with all these ideas, and they went through all this struggle and pain, and they almost had to convert to Islam, although they were born into Muslim families, because they've been through that pain. They've been surrounded by that. But if you're always surrounded around comfort, you take Islam for granted, right?
Yeah, I mean, I get what Subboor is trying to say, and I agree with some of the points, but obviously we just want to clarify that the way that Allah and the Prophet, the system that they made for us, they said that, look, establish the Khilafah, have the rules of Islam, and that obviously that is the best way. But obviously we know from the Sahaba, and we know from the struggle of the Prophet and the Prophet, that those people will also achieve a law, and those sometimes they establish those environments, right? So it doesn't necessarily, because, you know, we even know about moving to like a non-Muslim land without a purpose, right? It's like frowned upon, because why would you do that unless you're doing that?
No, absolutely.
So,
absolutely,
but still,
absolutely.
that also means you have amazing people come up from both these scenarios, and you see a lot of the most influential Islamic figures, they're from the West. They were born in the West and they grew up in the West. So it's 100%.
Yeah, we should definitely give our children the best environment. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, 100%. And just the point that I think Brother Subboor mentioned when he said that in these times where the youth are going to go through a time when they're going to realize that Allah is the closest thing to them. Allah is the closest person that's going to be to them. And then this reminds me of an ayah where Allah says, فَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. And I remember if my servant calls upon me, I am near. They ask you, O Prophet Muhammad, if my servant calls upon me, I am near. I remember also watching a video about Nu'man Ali Khan where the ayah starts off فَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي, so in second person, and then Allah switches that فَإِنِّي, he says I am near. He switches that to first person where he's directly talking to his servants. So that was powerful. And if by the will of Allah grants us this realization that all we have really and truly in this life is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and that we need to maintain our 5 daily prayers at minimum and have a close connection to the Quran, wallahi, everything will be sufficient for you. Allah is the best sustainer, the best provider. And once you go through that personally, that's the biggest argument for you.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest argument for you.
Absolutely. So we've hit the 45-minute mark. We try and make this mind asylum where people can, asylum seekers can get some asylum, about 45 minutes to an hour. So just before we end, I just want to.
But just before we end, sorry, it's really good. Like I mean, this mind asylum. Sorry, we missed last week because Subboor had to
No, it wasn't me.
Yeah, no, you said nothing. Yeah, I was supposed to come on, but I had to skip it last week because, anyways. So basically, it's really good because this Mind Asylum is kind of that kind of place. Like we're talking about loneliness. Sometimes Muslims they need that connection, and sometimes we can't do anything. I mean, you might be living somewhere in the US, which is like very sparsely populated, and you're studying there for your degree, and you have no Muslims around you. You can come in. Sometimes you might be in school and you have non-practicing friends around you, but you can come in and ask those questions. So this Mind Asylum every Tuesday about 7 p.m. We're going to do 7
Can we fix it at
7 p.m.
7
We were doing
p.m.
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Yeah, at 7 p.m. inshallah we'll come and we'll discuss these things and more people can come on. You can tell your friends, families, cousins if they have questions to come on inshallah. And it's just a place where we can sit, discuss and unwind inshallah. And then hopefully next week Muhammad will bring some pictures of his food that he had, that Palestinian dish. He'll bring a slow-mo video.
Inshallah, inshallah.
I was also speaking to Muhammad on Twitter, I think a few weeks ago. You know, young people like him, they need to start blogging. Yeah, it has a huge impact. You know, younger people, when they see other younger people, it's like role models, right? So, you know, being practicing at a young age is obviously, like you said, a big blessing from Allah. But then you also have to, you know, pay the tax on that blessing by actually, you know, utilizing that for, you know, and you never know. You know, nobody can guarantee they're going to be alive this time next year, right?
Sure.
I mean, I've had, you know, family members who passed away young, so, you know, we all have. So we always have to keep this in mind. So Jazakallah khair for joining us.
It was my pleasure. My pleasure, Allah, my pleasure.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. May Allah bless you. It's really good speaking.
Sorry too if I felt a little bit nervous. I was
No,
kind of
no,
in the beginning.
You didn't look nervous at all.
I couldn't collect my thoughts in the beginning. I'm like, subhanallah.
It's all right. We had camera issues. We didn't even know what's going on. So.
All right. Thank you, my brothers. Thank you, my brothers. Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, we'll see you soon. Inshallah.
Uh,
Inshallah.